Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
One of the best parts about my job is that I'm so close with all of the coworkers that I get to work with. So when you go to games and you get to sit next to them and you get to chat and talk about everything that's going on, it's a lot of fun. But it also makes for a nice little therapy session, which I've been saying this literally, I feel like for the past 2 weeks because it's been such a roller coaster. But my therapy session today is with Will Petersen because he was there with me for the double overtime heartbreaker that came, of course, as the Avs season comes to an end. So Will Petersen, hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm okay, Rachel. You know, we've had a couple days now to recover from some of the heartbreaks over at Ball Arena, but these aren't ones we're just going to get over in, a day or two and move on. These are going to take weeks, if not months, if not years to heal, depending on what happens in the playoff runs next year. So, yeah, still picturing that puck going in the back of the net from Nichushkin and double OT.
First of all, Will and I had so much fun during the entire playoffs for every single game that we were hanging out together. We're sitting down, we're eating tons of popcorn. Well, I was eating all the popcorn. Will was being much better than me. But I feel like that's one thing that people don't know is we actually do all get to sit up there and talk and react to the game. And it is a lot of fun. But you and I were actually separated for the actual goal because you were up at the top still in the press box writing. I had gone down closer to try and get a better look for video purposes. And I remember texting Will when we went into, I believe, double OT, and I was like, this is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, the press box clears out because people try to get down to the locker room because the interviews in the NHL happen really quick. So, yeah, it was like me and, I don't know, 5 other people up there. My friend Quentin from 9 News was still up there, so I was talking to him. But, yeah, I mean, it was empty, and you could tell that Ball Arena had lost a few fans, but not many. I estimated that it was still about 85% full in double overtime. And that's pretty good. I mean, it helps it was a Friday night, but you got to remember they scored this goal at 11:58 p.m. That game came very close to ending on Saturday morning. And then, of course, the press conference availability from Jared Bednar ended well into Saturday morning. It was a late one at Ball Arena, and it was obviously a really disappointing one. As Jared Bednar said, quote, the worst press conference of the season.
Oh, of course. And he did answer some stuff. It's easy. We can just sit and harp on the game in the series because, yeah, it does suck, Will. But I feel like at a certain point, you have to look ahead. And the 2 major questions, which Jared Bednar did answer about, was the future of Valeri Nichushkin and Gabriel Landeskog. And while he did answer, it was still non-committal on what's going to happen to either one of those guys. Sounds like Val, the answer was very short. We just don't know. And to be honest, I think they're moving away from him. You and I both have been in the locker room, saw they removed his nameplate, replaced it already. And then you also got Gabriel Landeskog, which Jared Bednar did speak on a little bit more. So I want to start with the captain that, they said he's looking good and that they're hopeful that he can return at some point.
Yeah, but he also clarified that Gabriel Landeskog wasn't close to playing this year. So,
which was the right move, to be honest. I know everybody was like, oh, he can come back for the playoffs. Don't push this because this is his entire career riding on one bad skate. And all of a sudden, he's done for life.
Right. But maybe we have different definitions of looking good then because he hasn't played in 2 years and wasn't close to playing this year. So I don't know if we can really say he's looking good. I got the sense from Bednar that it's time with Gabe to either do it next year or they have to figure something else out. They can't go into a 3rd year of him eating up this cap space and not having a solution. Now, like you said, Bednar was positive in the sense of, hey, if anyone can do it, it's Gabe. But I also got the sense that it's time for Gabe Landeskog to return or to retire. I think they need him to do one of those 2. They're not willing to do limbo for a 3rd straight year. And that stinks. And I hate saying that because Gabe is the nicest guy in the world and everyone loves Gabe. But guess what? Even Gabe Landeskog has rules and you can't allow a 3rd season to slip away. It's unfair to the rest of the guys. It's unfair to the team. So while Bednar was super kind, as he should be, Gabe deserves all that. I also think, Rachel, if you read between the lines, it's time to do it this year or it's time to figure something else out.
No, and I would agree with that. And I think that is the right move. Like you can't wait around forever, and he is eating up a significant cap hit. It's funny though. So my like you said we have different definitions of good. My definition of good is that Gabriel Landeskog can get back on the ice for just some games. Like, like be able to get back out there and do something. Do I think that he'll ever be up to speed with playoff hockey? No, I think that would be almost a little crazy in that sense. But with how big of a knee injury he was obviously dealing with and how much he had to change and rehab and the whole shebang. But my definition of good is just him getting out there for like a couple of games and being able to have Avs faithful stand behind him and be like, you did it, Gabe. Like, I just don't think it's ever going to be what it was.
Yeah, it'd be a cool moment. Like Ball Arena would give him a massive standing ovation, and
Yeah.
having him return would be really fun. But I
Is it
promise
worth
you this: Gabe Landeskog isn't thinking about juice boxes and participation trophies and coming back for a couple of games. Like if he's going to come back, he wants to help this team win a cup.
Yeah.
Jared Bednar doesn't want him to come back so we can all feel happy slappy that he came back. He wants him to come back to try to help him win a championship.
Mhm.
You don't pay a guy whatever he's on the books for $7-8 million so we can all feel warm and fuzzy inside. So hopefully that first game that would be the case, but no, I think down the road they need production from Gabe Landeskog, and they need a guy who's he's not going to be himself, but he's still going to be an NHL player. They can't throw him out on the ice unless he's capable of playing at the NHL level.
I mean, it's a fair point, and I will be very interested to see what they do. There's a lot of questions for the Savs team, and then the biggest one, of course, is the I don't know if I feel harsh saying this, but who cares? The biggest letdown of this past two seasons has been Valeri Nichushkin. Now, obviously, I say that with the fact that you just want him, his family, and everybody to be healthy. But let's be honest, he did let down Avs faithful twice for certain things as he goes into the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. Stage 3 suspended now for the minimum of 6 months, which is crazy to think about. But do you just move on from him? Like, is there any trust that you have left in him at all? Because obviously he went into phase 2. Things were fine. He was coming back out of it. And then he obviously goes in right before game 4, correct, Will Petersen?
Yep. Yeah,
so,
game 4.
Is there any trust? Will we ever see him play in the NHL again? Will any other team, if the Avs decide to move on from him, say, we'll give you a shot? Like, what's your gut feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, Jared Bednar did mention that the cap hits for Gabe and Val are significant. Yeah. And that was something that, was interesting for the head coach to acknowledge right after the season ended of like, we've got to figure out what to do with these two guys or we're not going to win, because it's not like the NFL where you can navigate this cap. It is a hard cap, Rachel, in the NHL, and they have two big ones with Gabe and Val. Now, I want to stress, obviously, the situations couldn't be more different. One's battling an injury, one's battling most likely substance issues. So I think what we have to remember here is there are 31 other teams out there, and there are always GMs desperate to make a splash. And maybe you can convince them, hey, take Val and his contract, but I'll give you a first-round pick as well. And you can find a suitor for a trade partner. Now, I know that would stink that the Avs are the ones who have to sweeten the pot. But I heard Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic say that. He's probably the top hockey insider out there mentioning that that's how a deal would get done. And again, it's going to be a long and tough task for Chris McFarland and Joe Sakic. But that's why you have to call every other team in the league, see if you can get a suitor, get this contract off your hands, and get that precious, precious cap space back to go add weapons that won't leave you in the playoffs.
Oh I can't imagine giving up your top goal scorer in the playoffs and then saying, hey, we have to sweeten the pot a little bit though, so you can have a first round draft pick. Like, that's just like a dagger to the chest.
It is, but you know what's even better? Getting $40 million in cap space back. So
that's true.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like he has messed up 3 times. Again, like you said, we hope he gets the help he needs, but saying that a third time starts to feel a little hollow. You need another team to take on the contract so that you can go sign a piece that can help you while you're still in this window, however long this window is open.
So, of course, anytime a team gets bounced, and Will Petersen and I are going to talk about Nuggets as well later on. We got an episode rolling for tomorrow. But anytime a team gets bounced, everyone questions the head coach, and I get it. Is it time to start questioning Jared Bednar?
No,
Me,
absolutely not.
no. Everyone else's right now is like, well, maybe it is time. Look at what he couldn't do with Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon. I'm like, no. Jared Bednar is a solid coach. He got dealt an unfortunate hand for some things that they just weren't able to overcome. And it still was a double overtime game that ended their season. Well, Petersen.
Yeah, and he's got a very built-in excuse each of the last 2 years that one of his best players left the team twice, and management, not Bednar, management didn't do anything about it the first time around in Seattle other than protect Valeri Nichushkin. I mean, there's still, remember, Rachel, there's still 911 call, police report, body cam footage. There's still a lot we don't know about what happened in Seattle, and the Avalanche protected Nichushkin this whole time. Mm-hmm. And then he leaves him a third time in 13 months. That was management making those decisions, not Jared Bednar. So, yeah, the last time he had a full roster, he won a cup. And then the last 2 times, his best player or one of his best players has left him in the playoffs. Anyone who wants to move on from Jared Bednar isn't properly evaluating what happened in the postseason these last 2 years.
I'm totally with you. I'm always amazed when I scroll on Twitter, and maybe I shouldn't do it because after a loss, I get everyone's very emotional. But even the past couple of days, I've seen just 1 or 2 things being we should question Jared Bednar. Why can't Jared Bednar win with the guys that he has and all these things? And I'm first of all, I have so much respect for Jared Bednar getting up in that press conference after he lost and saying this season was a disappointment because of where they won. They have the team to go out there and win a cup. You got to give him credit right there because, yeah, his team knows it. He knows it. This season was a disappointment.
Yeah, if anyone should be in trouble, it's perhaps GM Chris McFarland. I mean, the Walker guy they brought over at the deadline from Philly did absolutely nothing in 11 playoff games. 0 goals, 0 assists, -5, I believe. Yeah. Middlestad, who they brought over for Byram, I don't know if that worked. He's the one who picked Nichushkin over Kadri. The front office has not been as strong since Joe Sakic got promoted and McFarland took over GM. So I'm not advocating for McFarland to get fired, but if anyone is going to get moved on from, it would much more likely, in my opinion, be the GM than the head coach.
Will and I, fun story. Ahead of game 4, right after Val was suspended, we had a elevator ride with Joe Sakic. And I just remember both Will and I realized what was happening. And we were just oh boy. Because part of me really wanted to ask him, right? Just been tough day. What do you got? Are you going to give us anything? But he kind of was smiling. He had a little bit of a grin on his face. I don't know, Will. I was curious your thoughts on that elevator ride.
Yeah, he was in a good mood. I don't know why. Like you said, they just got devastating news about an hour before. But Joe and I joked about 7:30 start time really means 7:50, and yeah, I mean, I've interacted with Joe Sakic a dozen times over the years, and he could not be friendlier every time. And it shows you a person's true character when something really bad just happened, and they're still as courteous and as polite as can be. So kudos to Joe Sakic for always being the same man in the ups and the downs. Maybe my favorites. Honestly, maybe my favorite athlete in Denver sports history.
Wait, I love that. Actually, I think I've told you. I sat next to him at a Justin Bieber concert.
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny. Was he there? Who was he there with?
He was there. He was on a double date with his wife, and I'm assuming probably one of her girlfriends and his husband. So funny. He, slightly was singing some songs, not really willing to get into it because he knew a lot of eyes were on him. I mean, everyone around us was that's Joe Sakic. That's Joe Sakic. So he handled it really nicely, though. My friend asked to take a picture. He was great. I really do respect him a lot, and I cannot wait to watch the Saving Sakic documentary that's going to come out. We have all the time in the world nowadays, Will Petersen, so I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out for a while. It's been on my list, and like you said...
Wait, it's already out? I thought it came out in June.
No, it's been out for a few weeks now. It's on ESPN Plus. So, yeah.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
There you go.
I thought it came out in June.
Check it out, too. It's getting rave reviews, and apparently a lot of Denver media members get a lot of FaceTime in it. So, excited to check it out.
Amazing. Yeah, you just lightened my day a little bit because I thought it came out in June. So amazing. We'll definitely be tuning in this weekend to watch it. Will Petersen, always a pleasure. I'm bummed we're not going to be in the press box eating popcorn or you watching me spill popcorn all over myself anymore, but to next season, my friend.
the next season. Take care, Rachel. Thanks.
All right, there it is. Will Petersen right there. Always appreciate having him on as well. And to all of you guys, thank you so much for spending just a little bit of time to talk to talk Avalanche, excuse me. And Valeri Nichushkin, Gabriel Landeskog, the whole thing. So we will see you guys later. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Bye, everybody.